Hello and welcome to tonight's show.
And welcome to episode 218 of On the Bench, the podcast for scale modelers by scale modelers, all about scale models. This episode is being brought to you by our latest Patreon supporter, Alex Heary. You too can help support the show just like Alex. Simply go to www.patreon.com/onthebench and pledge any amount from as little as $1 per month. Your contributions help with our hosting and production costs and are greatly appreciated by both myself and the rest of the boys. And of course, don't forget, by becoming a Patreon supporter, you automatically get a OTB sticker and then go into the running for the Patreon Wheel of Fortune. All right, let's get on with the show.
Are you looking for top quality paints for your next project? Then look no further than the Scale Modeler Supply, Australia's hobby paint. Hi, I'm Scott, and as a passionate modeler myself, I've spent years creating the SMS product range, designing them specifically with the Scale Modeler in mind. We have worked extensively to develop our acrylic lacquer paint range to not only be airbrush ready straight out of the bottle, but also to be easy to use so that anyone of any skill level can create professional results with minimal effort. Just give the bottle a good shake, pour into your airbrush, and spray at 15 psi. So dive into your next project with confidence, knowing that you're backed by one of the finest hobby paints on the market. Head over to our website at scalemodeler.com.au to check out our full range and to find your closest retailer.
And hello and welcome to the show. And in the studio, I've got Ian.
G'day Dave, g'day Julian, g'day everyone else.
And Julian, of course.
Yep, good morning.
Gentlemen, how are we?
Yeah, not
good.
too bad, thanks.
Lovely breakfast, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Over my COVID.
Yep, that's good.
Yeah.
Apologies.
At least I hope so.
Yeah.
Apologies to the audience that we missed last week, but unfortunately COVID sort of came along and knocked at the door, and I was fine. The first day I had a headache, and then after that I was fine, but I kept showing positive for the next 4 or 5 days. Michelle was the one who was sort of a bit more under the weather than I was.
Yep.
So for me, it's just an enforced, sorry, you can't go anywhere.
Yep.
And it was certainly fine. I didn't have any issues with that.
Yep.
So it's been what?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. So what have you been doing, Ian?
Well, not a great deal, to be honest. I just don't have time these days to do anything.
You must have been buying some stuff, surely.
Yeah, well, I purchased the IBG, make a French First World War 75mm field gun. Picked one of them up, quite a nice little kit, and did the pre-order on the new, coming up at the end of the year, Qatari 1/32 scale photo reconnaissance Spitfire.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Which is, it looks like a very lovely kit, especially that nice PR blue.
How about yourself, Julian?
I've been doing, I've got 3 kits on the go, and I've decided that I'm going to have to prioritize.
Yep.
As I run out of time.
Ah.
Obviously I don't want to let down my fellow club members, so I've had to prioritize the what do you call it? The car the Skyline I'm doing
the
for
Interclub.
the Interclub.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's just how it's going to have to go. I've been just doing gloss coats on that. So what happened was I'm doing it in a gunmetal grey kind of colour, right? Metallic look, and I did it with the the SMS Platinum. And it's funny, like when you look at the paint in the bottle up close, it looks like it. You start to see all the other colours, because it's not just like a dark grey colour.
Yep.
In the flakes, it's actually got like like some purples and stuff in there. Like,
All right.
it starts a little like when you look at it really up close, you start to see it start to look a little bit rainbowy. That together might produce the grey color. But when you shoot it and it lands on your subject, it just looks like one unified color.
Yep.
Which is crazy to me, but I can see it. I can visually see it without, unaided, because my eyes are still good enough for that.
Yep.
I can see all the other colors, but once it's on the model, you don't see any of them except just the one color.
And speaking of Japanese cars, have you seen Hasegawa's releasing the Bathurst GTR?
Oh, is it? Well, I mean,
From
Fujimi did it before.
driven by Scafie and who was the other guy?
Is it the Winfield one?
I think it might be.
The red?
I think it was white.
White
with multiple
blue?
colours, blues I think on it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the earlier one, I believe.
Yeah, it's just I think it's a new release.
Yeah, I think when they started running them, maybe that's the scheme that they had. But at least prior to seeing that kit being released by, I think it was Fujimi.
Yep.
I always thought that the classic GTR at Bathurst was the red one, the Winfield one, the one that Scaife used to win shortly before they.
Yeah, put the axe them.
Before they axed them, yeah. Well, they axed the GTR along with every other car except for V8s, right?
Yes.
Is how it basically went, which was unfortunate. I preferred I preferred it when Bathurst was variety.
Yep.
Because everyone wanted to see like how does a turbo 6-cylinder go up against a V8 versus a 4-cylinder versus, it was interesting. Now it's kind of boring, especially since they're not even real cars anymore, are they? They're so completely race car. There's no resemblance to a
except for the body style.
Yeah. It's to be honest, they got more in common with a NASCAR in a way. You know, it's just race car stuff. Exactly. It's all tube frame in there now.
Yep, very true. Very true.
Boring.
Well, you, Dave, what have you been fiddling around with?
Well, I had to get some decals made up for one of my 1/72 scale rockets, and I came across a company called, and I think it was listening to Plastic Model Mojo that I came across this particular company, Hobbyist Decals or Hobbyist Decals. It's www.hobbyistdecals.com. And I got 2 sheets printed off, and I've got to say I'm really happy the way they've come out. They've done a fantastic job. They do custom jobs, they do one-off jobs.
So you just send them the artwork?
Send the artwork, or send them a just contact them and say, hey, I need this done, and they'll sort of deal with you. Little bit on the pricey side. I think this cost me $39 to get the decals done, but
it's not too bad, really.
No. And for
some of these manufactured decal sheets you're charging that much anyway.
Well, this is like for a one-off as well.
Yeah, so I reckon it's quite reasonable.
And I'm really happy. Obviously, I haven't sort of laid them down on the model yet because I hadn't started the model. But I'll be interested to see how they lay down. But looking at the decal sheet, it looks to be quite good. So Hobbyist Decals, just go and Google them and check them out. Also, I just received from AMP the Northrop M2 F3, which is one of those American lifting body aircraft in 72nd scale and in styrene. The only other place you can sort of get that particular model, it's in resin, I think. So I was pleased to see it come out in styrene.
It's a pretty cool looking thing, isn't it?
It's a very cool looking. Just think of
$6 million man.
Yes,
I wouldn't call it cool. Quirky is how I would call it.
It's cool, man. It's cool.
I think it looks pretty cool.
You know what? It looks like someone tried to turn a bathtub into a plane.
Good on you.
Well, it's got no wings, right?
Well, it's called a lifting body.
Yeah, I know.
The whole body's a wing.
Well, I mean, remember, when you say lifting body, not everyone knows what you're talking about. And they don't know what it looks like. They're just like,
Well,
I mean,
car modeler probably wouldn't, but all the rest of the modelling community would.
No, not necessarily. There's plenty of people out there who, are all about the World War II planes, and they're like, well, lifting blade, what is this nonsense? What is this newfangled thing?
Yeah.
The challenge is going to be how to actually build it, because I'm also doing the X20 dinosaur at the moment, which is another 72nd scale. I'm going to do that in flight, and we've got an interesting conversation coming up later on in the show with Chris and Collin, who are both in-flight aficionados. So, this one kind of screams to be built wheels down, coming into a desert,
Area 51.
yeah, landing type situation. But I don't quite know how I'm going to build it yet, so I'll wait and see. But it's definitely going up in my build list because that looks absolutely gorgeous. I can't wait to build it.
Well, I hope you don't get too disappointed by the state of the plastic.
No, it's not. It's what I expect from AMP, and it's
Which is very little.
well, it's as I said, it's a huge improvement over the resin version that another company does. So
Actually, this is pretty good. Because I've got an AMP kit, and this is not the sort of standard I'm used to.
yeah, it is. It's a nice kit. It's first in country as far as I'm aware. I had to buy direct from AMP. So
Because this looks like it's designed on CAD, and the stuff that I bought previously did not look like that.
yeah. Some of these older AMP stuff is a bit questionable. That's a fact.
Yeah. It really gives the impression of small
Cottage industry.
Yeah, small cottage industry, Eastern Europe.
Oh, 100%. 100%. All right, a few announcements coming up. So let's talk about some model shows that are coming up. First cab off the rank is WASMEX, West Australian Scale Model Exhibition, which is being held on the 9th and 10th of August 2025. That's over in Western Australia at the Cannington Exhibition Centre, which is corner of Station Street and Albany Highway, Carrington, which is just off Station Street. Plenty of car parking available. Go and check that out. It's the biggest show in Western Australia, and it's admission's only $10 to get in, or a family $25, and of course pensioners and seniors get in for $7. So looks like a feedback from our people that we know over in Western Australia. It's a really great day out, so go and check them out. Next cab off the rank is, of course, what Ian and I are very keen for. It is QMHE, Queensland Model and Hobbies Expo, which is happening in, as we record, 27 days, 21 hours, 16 minutes and 49 seconds.
I'm pretty sure they don't need to know the seconds, Dave.
No, but I'm just being very, very efficient.
Oh, so efficient.
So anyway, go and check out that website, and we hope Ian and I will be there, and we hope to see you as well. We're going to be recording from there the whole weekend, so it should be a lot of fun. And then the next big one on the Aussie calendar is, of course, Scale ACT 25, which is on the 8th and 9th of November 2025. It's a fantastic show. I have to say, one of the premier shows to go to in Australia. It's so many models are there. In fact, we're hoping for 1,000 models on display. So make sure you get there and bring at least 5 models if you're entering. Calvin Tan is coming along. He's going to be doing some demonstrations, as is our good friend Lincoln Wright. And, of course, Ian's going to be there doing some a display as well, aren't you, Ian?
Yep.
With?
Bacon bits.
Doing some ship modelling stuff.
Yeah, just talking ship models.
Yeah, so that should be pretty cool as well. So really excited about this, and it's fantastic to see that Calvin Tan is coming all the way across to have a look at it as well, or to be part of the show. So go and check out their page as well. There's a Scale AC 25. That's it for about sort of major shows that are coming up. Let's roll. The other thing I'll need to talk to about too is I need to do a huge thank you to Christian from Bases by Bill. I just sitting at home, just minding my own business, and out of the blue, Christian from Bases by Bill reached out to me and said, "I've got a couple of books here. Are you interested in them? And I said yes. And they're 2 books on the air war against Japan, 1943 to 45.
Oh, cool.
And Royal Australian Air Force Air War 39 to 42. One by George Odgers and the other one by Douglas Gilson. And it was so nice of him just to think of me and sort of reach out and say, hey, do you want these? And I thought it was really cool. And thanks very much. And they're currently on their way out, so that should be really cool. I'm looking forward to getting them in my hot little hands and having a read of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Rightio, let's dive into listener mail. And don't forget, you can send us an email to onthebench64@gmail.com. I have closed down the speak pipe, so you can't leave us messages anymore. I was spending $25 a month, and nobody was using it, so
bye-bye.
I did pretty much like what I did to my dog yesterday, and took it to the vet and spaded that thing, so it's all gone.
Oh, jeez, that's a bit dark.
Our latest Patreon supporter, Alex Heary, writes in, afternoon, gents. I emailed in a few weeks ago regarding airbrush cleaning. I just wanted to email in and thank you all for answering my airbrush cleaning questions with such a detailed answer. It's nice to know you agree with my assumptions. I was doing way too much cleaning. A huge thank you today for the epic firefighting patches and OTB stickers, as well as the coin that sent my way. Made me feel like a kid at Christmas time opening up the post. I've attached my most recent build of the Tamiya 135th Cromwell, which I decided to try and replicate in scale netting and Hessian type camo without using any scale model specific products like 3D printed parts. I'm a big lover of DIYing, stowage, etc. And I wanted to know if you guys ever utilise household items on your models or dioramas. For instance, my tarps on the tank are cigarette papers and a shopping receipt. The netting is a cheap dishcloth, all cut to size and hit with some watery PVA. The dirt on the model's base is just dirt from the garden, which is cheap and cheerful. That's all the best from Alex. So, do you guys ever do anything like that, like household products?
No, but it's definitely worth a thought, because looking at what he's managed to do with that, it's come up quite a treat.
Yeah, that's come up really well.
Looks great.
Yep, that camo netting looks awesome. Just cigarette paper.
Yeah.
Who would have thought cigarette paper?
Yeah.
I tell you what, water down PVA is a highly underrated thing. It has so many uses, from temporarily attaching photo etch to using it for clear parts.
Yep.
It's just sensational little product.
Yeah,
That's a good. I like the netting.
yeah, it looks fantastic,
good.
doesn't it?
Look, it's like the ghillie suit for tanks.
Yes, it is, isn't it? Yes.
Yep. Totally agree. Yeah, he's done a great job on that.
He certainly has. Rob Miller writes in, and he says, how you going, benchers? I was away on a long trip recently and was back home at my bench catching up with my modelling podcast. Imagine my surprise while listening to episode 214 to hear Dave's reference to my 1/72nd scale Mach 2 model Vostok build from the Historical Space Models Facebook group page. For the record, I do not spread Lego bricks on my carpet to walk on them barefoot. I try to limit my masochism to building rare subjects that are the only game in town at a preferred scale. There aren't many players in the real space genre that provide Tamiya levels of engineering and ease of assembly. Ain't that the truth? Often, modelers must contend with resin and multimedia kits with persistent problem solving and extra work. This is expected. However, the Mach 2 kit is an egregious example of something claiming to be a mass-produced injection molded kit. It's a scabby piece of hammered dog beep. And that's saying something in a world where a Fonderie miniature exists. Fonderie Merd 148 scale Bell X2 is on my shelf of doom, by the way. Thankfully, I'm in the painting, finishing, final assembly stage of this project, and the pain of assembly, sanding, filling, and rescribing is receding. Believe it or not, the build, as torturous as it looks, provided many opportunities to sharpen my skills. Skills that have been called upon later when I'm metaphorically smacking myself in the head with a mallet. Thanks for the good laugh. All the best. It's Rob Miller from Arnold, California, USA. And if you want to check out Rob's work, go to Facebook page Historical Space Model and check out his Mac 2. What he's done, and I know I've got 3 of these kits.
And I laughed when you bought them.
I
laughed and I laughed and I laughed and I laughed, and then I took a big breath, and then I laughed and I laughed and I laughed. Took another big breath and kept laughing.
I optimistically bought 3 kits thinking I'd be able to make 2 good ones out of them.
No.
Is that how it works? You can just keep, like, if you buy 20 kits, you can somehow make a better kit.
It's like getting 1,000 monkeys with typewriter. Eventually, one of them's going to type out Shakespeare.
Yeah,
yeah.
I knew going into it how bad it was, but how bad it really is nowhere near as what I sort of expected. And to see
I had no expectations, but when I looked at what the parts were inside the box, I'm half surprised it doesn't like have asbestos in there or something.
Well, it looks like it's been done in the pill press. You've just got some, talcum powder and just put it in the pill press to set up. It's got that sort of weird texture to the plastic, and it's just an absolute dog's breakfast.
It does have the feeling of like it's made out of plaster or something.
It's really weird.
It's undescribably bad.
It is. You have to actually see one in the flesh and feel the plastic to understand what we're really talking about.
Yeah, I'm really serious. It really feels like it's got much more in common with the cut off. When you break your arm and you get a cast and then you cut the cast off. Mm-hmm. I feel it's got more in common with that than it does with plastic.
Yeah.
Mm. That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah, brittle.
But Rob has done a sensational job. I take my hat off to him. It is absolutely gorgeous. What he's done is jaw-droppingly gorgeous, as a matter of fact. And I just wish and hope that I can be inspired by your work, Rob, to actually have a crack at mine in the future.
Mm.
All right. Next one. I've got to find one. Oh, here we go. Eric Semalaya. Do I get that name right?
Semalaya.
Thank you. Hello, Dave, Ian, and Julian. Hope is all is well with you, boys. I've recently taken to asking ChatGTP some modelling questions, and I think it's giving solid advice. Here are a couple of questions I've asked and its response. Question 1. I assume that the fabric control surfaces and painted aluminium on an aircraft fade at different rates. Which fades faster? Answer from ChatGTP or GPT. You're absolutely right. And that's a fantastic observation that most casual modelers overlook. The different materials, fabric versus metal, weather and fade differently in real life, and that can really elevate your model if you capture it well. Here's how it typically plays out. And it goes on to talk about how it's actually doing it and why it's fading, etc., etc.
Is it telling you how to represent your P40?
It is actually. And Eric says that I think the answers are well thought out. They may be kind of basic, but they are thorough and answered in modeler speak, which is interesting from an AI. Pretty happy with this new tool. I'm also a little nervous that AI has advanced so far as to know so much about such a niche subject as modelling. It will eventually kill us all.
Yep.
I'm still loving what you guys do and look forward to your show every fortnight. That's regards from Eric in Redwood City, California.
See, I think with a lot of with the whole asking ChatGPT questions, it's kind of like Google Maps. It's correct often enough that you'll start to think it's right all the time.
And that's where you're going to get caught out.
Yeah. And as anybody who's used Google
I
Maps,
still remember when it was difficult to find my way to your place just because it wasn't on Google Maps.
And as anybody who's used Google Maps while they're in Japan trying to figure out which train to catch, it can catch you out if you're not 100% wise to it.
Oh, well, at least it's not like South Korea where it doesn't work at all.
Oh, really? Doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. Apparently it's a thing to sort of make it more difficult in case of invasion by North Korea.
Well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. You'd think it's like not being able to shave because you haven't got a mirror. I mean, you know where your face is.
Well, that's what I've heard it said, but I think it's more a thing to do with they have their own version of maps, and South Korea being the way it is, they have bias towards their own stuff.
So how is a foreigner supposed to navigate around?
You're supposed to download their maps, which
Is it English?
doesn't have. It's kind of. It is until you start getting to nitty gritty stuff, and then it's suddenly not English, and then you're like, what am I supposed to do with this? It's not easy.
So, asking Chat GPT
Hmm.
modelling questions. Well, I never thought to use that, so there you go.
Yeah, just reading through it, it's not bad.
All right.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also nothing. It's the same answer that most experienced modelers could give you.
Yeah, I guess so. Andy just writes in, he just dropped a short email that said, I've never heard of this, but would make an awesome build, 114 miles per hour with a V12 engine. And what it is, he's given me a link to Wikipedia for a armoured car called a Preston Tucker.
Oh,
which
Tucker, yeah. he
built
was-
during World
yeah.
War II. So
It looks
it
pretty
was
cool, actually.
The Tucker armoured car, also known as a Tucker Tiger tank, even though it was not a tank. It had a V12 engine in it. So it could do, allegedly, 114 miles per hour on a road.
Geez, back then, that's fast as anything back then.
And it's got-
Well, it's like back in the old days where it would have like the speedo go all the way up to 300 kilometers an hour, and you know it's not getting that fast.
You're going to be
That's wishful thinking.
You're going to be pushing a rod out the side of the block to
But
try
the
and do
more
that.
I look at it, the more it would make a really cool model.
No,
Because
look, I think it looks cool until you see that silly dome-shaped turret on top.
it's an It's like think of a turret from a bomber,
a
No.
Lancaster.
a Lancaster,
No,
and they've just plonked it on top.
You know what it looks like? Is it see-through? I'm not
Yes,
sure
it is. It's plexiglass.
Oh, God. Because my first impression of it looked like the astronomers at the observatory, with the telescope. That kind of a dome.
Yep.
Yeah.
It looks goofy.
Oh, it looks goofy enough that it'll make a great subject.
Go and check out. Just put in the Google Tucker armored car. I reckon it looks like a really fun project.
Yeah, totally agree.
That would be very cool.
Thanks, Andy.
Yeah, thanks for that, mate. Drew Savage writes in, thanks, gents, for getting the word out for SilverCon 2025 model contest in Sacramento, California, which is held in May of this year. Last year we had less than 300 models entered, and this year it was north of 400.
Nice.
And while I want to think that we did such a fabulous job marketing at a local level, I believe that reaching your audience helped boost attendance. Oh, shucks. Thanks, Drew. Maybe just a little bit.
Yeah.
We are getting close to a theme for our 2026 contest, but I believe that it will involve
Natural metal finishes.
natural metal finishes, yes. So sorry that I won't be seeing you in Hampton next year.
Or next month.
Or next month, I should say, yes. So that's a friend of the podcast, Drew Savage, president of IPMS Silver Wings. But don't you fret, Drew. I will be there in August 2026. Not to your show, but going to IPMS National, so I'll be there. And fingers crossed in 27, I'm hoping to get over to, to a show over there. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
We'll see how that plays out. Lots of time between now and then. Gordon Gordon writes in, he's from the IPMS Austin Scale Model Society, and he just writes, hi everybody, I want to apologise right from the start about this somber email I have to send. I wanted to ask you guys to mention this tribute build on the podcast if you don't mind. I'm doing this for a warrior friend of mine. Pete Maritz was a friend of mine that I had huge respect for. He was a Royal Marine Commando, SBS and Australian Special Forces warrior. He was a fellow South African serving these countries. That alone should tell you what kind of person he was. And he was involved in multiple missions in Afghanistan in the Kajaki areas of operation. Mm-hmm. Pete and I communicated a couple of times a year via Facebook. On the 24th of June, I sent him a message asking him if he ever operated from the Westland Sea King Commando HC4, seeing that I had bought the new Airfix version recently. This was the same day that he was in a major vehicle accident in Australia where he resided. That question will never be answered because Pete sadly passed away a couple of days later. Somehow I find it ironic that someone who completed so many tours in very dangerous situations passes away in a civilian vehicle accident. Either way, it's a tribute and honour to this warrior, friend, father and brother. I am building the Airfix Seeking HC4 kit and would like anyone who has lost a warrior or in any other situation that relates to helicopters and a warrior to join this tribute build. However, this is not a requirement. Anyone can join the build. We'll be building any version or scale of the following 2 helicopters. That's the Sea King and the Chinook. And the Facebook group is going to be the Peter Maritz tribute build. So I'll spell that PIETERMARITZ TRIBUTEBUILD build.
Yep.
There will be a donation set up on the group, and any donations will be sent to his family. They had to arrange emergency visas, passports, and travel from South Africa to Australia to see Pete for the last time. Pete also leaves behind his 2 children. Many thanks, Gordon from IPMS Scale Modeler Society. And I think it's a great way of honouring the memory of somebody.
Totally is, yeah. Totally agree, yeah. So, yes.
Please go and check out that Facebook group. Okay, let's do something a bit cheerful, more cheerful now and happier. And I think we will do the Wheel of Fortune.
Yes.
And don't forget to be in the Patreon Wheel of Fortune. You've actually got to be a Patreon, and we thank all of our wonderful Patreon supporters for their ongoing support of the show. It just helps us with our production and hosting costs. We are giving away this time one of our wonderful and very rare OTB challenge coins, and let's see who the lucky winner of it's going to be this fortnight. And the wheel's coming to a stop, and it is coming up as BCNRA. I don't know who that is, but I will go and check them out, and I'll be in contact with you later on this weekend to organise to get that prize out to you. That's an interesting name.
Yeah.
BCNRA. I wonder if that stands for something.
British Columbia National Rifle Association.
well done, Julian.
I mean, that's the only thing that comes to mind.
It does, yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. All right, okay, we'll be back very shortly. Models Without Borders is proud to announce the launch of its first ever global online event, Virtual Model Exhibition 2025, or the shorthand version, VMX 25. VMX 25 invites scale modelers from around the world to showcase their work in a fully virtual format that reflects the hobby's growth and diversity. Entrants may enter models in any of the exhibition's 11 classes. Registration, which will cost $10 will be open from the 1st of August until the 15th, and each participant can enter up to 5 models. Builders can choose whether each model is evaluated, display only, or both. Evaluations will use MWB's skill-based system, which considers the modeler's goals, experience, and craftsmanship. The system is designed to support growth, celebrate creativity, and recognise achievement across all skill levels, without comparison or competition. VMX 25 winners will receive a unique gold, silver, or bronze awards or a certificate of merit. VMX 25 will take place after registrations are complete, and for updates, please visit www.modelers, that's with 2 L's, modelers.org, and subscribe or follow Modelers Without Borders on social media. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Collin, Tatusko and Chris Becker, who are both here to have a bit of a chat about building aircraft models in flight mode, which I know is a bit of a passion for both Chris and Collin. But first, for the audience who perhaps don't know you gentlemen, I'll start with you first, Collin. Just give us a bit of a rundown who you are and what you do.
Who am I? I am a citizen of the United States living in Washington, D.C., not live here on Capitol Hill. as most of you are. I've been a modeler all my life, but took a break for a little bit while I was in the service and doing some other stuff. But luckily, I was flying in the Navy and then got out and then kept getting pulled back in and stuff like that. So modeling ended up being a way to release some of the tension and just have another hobby to do while I was either overseas or back home. And no, just love the hobby and love participating in it, and especially with the in-flight stuff I'm starting to do now, which Chris has a lot to do with it. But if you got any other specific questions, just hit me up and let me know.
Well, if I said the word colonized, does that mean anything to you?
It means something to me, but and once the geeks started picking that up, that all started. I used to live in another house here on Capitol Hill, and I was like on the front porch basement. It was like a cinder block cell. It used to be my model shop or my model hobby room, or the man cave, as most folks call it. But the wall behind me became a marked end location for a few of my model builds when I just got frustrated with it at the point where I knew it was going to either turn into a build I didn't want to put on the shelf, or it wasn't going to go anywhere. I would, in that instant rage that sometimes you get, it just flew across the room on its own into the wall. And I don't know where Colonize actually came from. Probably one of our club meetings down there in Southern Maryland with the geeks and Tim and the gang. And it just sort of stuck. And now it's become part of the lexicon there in the hobby. But that I am the original colonizer. Yes.
You're ground zero for the word. So it's almost like we're talking to royalty in some, because I first heard the term and I thought colonize. Oh, I guess, yeah, that makes sense. So when you throw a model against a wall, all the parts go off into their own little colonies. I thought colony is in COL. NY, and I didn't realise it was sort of named after somebody, and so yeah.
Yeah, and that's Collin with Collin with two L's, not one L. I don't know what the proper Empire way of spelling it, but it's colonizer. I guess that's the way you spell it and the way you say it. So yeah, we kind of there's been a few folks in the club that have actually colonized a model or two, and so it's kind of like a badge I wear a little proudly every once in a while.
This isn't the in-flight sort of thing I was expecting. We're going
to get to that part, Julian.
The duration of flight's very small, and the aerodynamics are up. The aerodynamics are pretty good, but there's an abrupt kinetic end to it, and the good thing is when you're down there on the ground searching for that lost part, I usually find parts from builds 2, 3, 4 years ago. They're hiding behind a box or something like that. I'm like, oh, I remember that kit. I remember when that kit hit the wall. Yep.
Mr. Chris Becker, infamous in your crusade about displaying aircraft in flight. Let the listeners know who you are.
Yes, I'm the infamous militant anti-wheels on the ground modeler from going back. My very, very first aircraft model, which my wife made me do because I was on the verge of ripping my skin apart when I was I've been working from home since 2010. So I work in finance, in trading, and in economic publishing, that sort of stuff. Very boring. And sitting in front of a computer 16 hours a day, I was slowly losing my mind.
As you would.
I still haven't found it. And my wife told me, go find a hobby, Chris. Go do something. So I bought an Airfix little Spitfire 172, which didn't come with a flight stand. I've started already. And so I found one from another kit someone gave me, and I haven't looked back. I think I've only ever done 3 or 4 wheels down model aircraft since then. Built over 150.
Yep.
And I'm on a crusade to get them all in the air. Apart from an F-14 here or there, I do love the F-14. It does look sexy, wheels down or wheels up. And I'm trying not to colonize my current build, which is the Academy CH-53E, the super shitter. I've been building that for 5 years, and it's a big lodestone around my neck, and I've almost thrown it against the wall many times.
Well, in fact, I've been following your build because you've got a YouTube channel, Becker's Models, and
yes.
I've been following your build, and I was very intrigued because that helicopter is very well known when you look at it for its oil canning on the skin.
Yep.
And I loved your approach and how you did that. And I thought, and I was watching you do it, and I thought, that's going to come out looking like crap. But after you did it, and then you gave it that sort of light spray, it looked really, really good.
It's coming along well because I'm riveting the fuselage as we speak. So I'm riveting in between those lines where I've done all the oil canning, and I've experimented with a bit of oil work as well. And I have an ulterior motive for doing that because my focus from now on, I'm sick of doing interiors, sick of cockpits, sick of painting pilots, the whole lot. I just want to do external effects, and working out how to do oil canning, it really, really has made me go, I'm going to do this to every model I can because it's not that hard.
Yep. Well,
it's not that hard.
If you master the oil canning, then you can become a competent shipbuilder as well.
Well, here's the funny thing. I am a secret ship modeler.
Oh,
there you go.
I don't tell anyone what I'm doing. I don't show them to anyone, but I have lots of ship models, and I was thinking about starting a separate YouTube channel so I don't infect everybody with my really bad ship models.
Now, before we dive into the actual conversation, there's a Facebook page devoted to this. What's the name of that?
It's Scale Model Aircraft in Flight, and I started that out of frustration of literally wearing out the wheel mouse on my mouse, scrolling through acres of pictures of aircraft parked on the ground, and I thought, let's get everyone involved in one area. And we've got over 700 members, and Collin is a fantastic member. He displays all his fantastic stuff in there, and heaps of other chaps as well. It's slowly growing, and every day I try to put a photo up of something I find in another Facebook group, or from the the expos that are on every weekend, or the shows. And so it's a little community where we can just have our little fun with that without getting because we do get I do find a little bit negativity around in-flight modeling, and so I've left almost all Facebook groups to do that. So it's really good.
All right, gentlemen, I want you to go to your Bible and open it up. And what does the first Psalm say about aircraft in flight?
That's where they belong.
The first thing is exactly look. I mean, I can see the painting behind your head, David. They're not parked on the ground, are they?
No.
It does have its wheels down, though.
Yeah, it does have its wheels.
That's just a very good. It just happened to be placed there, didn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense that the wheels are going down, does it?
Yeah, it's landing.
It's landing. Yeah.
No.
Well, technically it's in flight, so it's still legit.
Yeah,
it is.
That's very true. That's very true.
Yep, totally agree.
I mean, it comes to, if I can just say this, it comes to the fact. Okay, it's a fact, and Collin would know this more than anybody else, being a ex-Navy man, that 99.5% of the time aircraft stay on the ground.
Yep.
But oh my God, that 0.5%, it's like, you don't. A supermodel walks around her house in her tracky dacks and her comfy hoodie 99.5% of the time. But that 0.5% of the time when she's not, that's what we're more interested in.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes, you are.
Oh.
And I'm trying to remember, Chris, what you said. Was it a couple of videos ago about they're, basically aircraft, they're like cars. They're, with all the cars and the open doors and open, hoods and everything else like that. It's mostly, when I look at an aircraft kit and I see it all taken apart, I'm like, that's a maintenance bird in the hangar. That's not a bird ready to go out and fly, or if I'm up there flying, something flying next to me. So I personally don't like the look of an aircraft torn down, panels open. I appreciate the work. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
It's
same
beautiful craftsmanship and stuff like that. But I prefer seeing the lines of an aircraft gear up, flaps up, or flaps down, or even in landing configuration.
Yeah.
But in flight is where they belong in my small little world in the modeling world.
Someone on my YouTube channel in the comments, it wasn't me, they came up with the term autopsy model.
Yeah. I've heard that
and that's
before.
the trend
Yep.
we've seen. Like Plasmo, for example, David Damick, he's recently done a P40, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, it is a nice.
It's
kit.
amazing.
Done a nice job on that.
But everything is open. The wing panels, the engine, the cockpit, the side panels, everything. And it looks like someone has gone in there with a scalpel and gone, let's tear this beautiful piece of engineering, an object of art, and let's just make it dead on the ground. And to me, that is a separate hobby. Like what Collin and I and other people do, we see aircraft as objects of beauty that should be examined for the lines they have. And that's where we start. That's where we enjoy it.
Every Spitfire aficionado out there should be agreeing with Chris and I. I mean, a Spitfire on the ground, okay. You know, a Mustang or a Spitfire in the air, there's nothing more beautiful. So that's where they all should. That's where they all should be. Period.
Yep.
End of story.
Yep. You can end the podcast there, David. Thanks very much.
Oh, wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
We've got a few other things to sort of dive into because I understand and agree where both of you are coming from because originally I started out as a ship modeler, and I used to, and the opposite for me, I used to be annoyed of ships being done as waterline ships because I wanted to see the full beauty of the hull. It's the sum of the whole model itself.
That I get what you're saying, Dave, but it could also be taken inversely, where
this
like
is
a plane's in its natural setting when it's in flight, whereas a ship in its natural setting is in the water.
But that's the juxtaposition of it for me, because in particular with ships, not necessarily with aircraft, I like seeing the full hull form. I don't like seeing half of it hidden away under waves. But then I also appreciate a ship being shown in its natural element in a seascape, much like you guys producing your aircraft in flight mode.
Well, what I've said for many, many years, and this is after going through a process of getting a lot of negative feedback, is there's more than one hobby. I mean, ship modeling is there's waterline modeling, there's full hull modeling, there's doing it in a dry dock, there's half hulls, for example, like some of the naval architects use.
Yep.
They're all different models. They're all different hobbies. So why not just say, hey, this is all great. Let's put them all under our hobby as a whole. And that's why, and I hope Collin agrees with me with this, we're not saying that every aircraft model that anybody buys has to be done in flight. Because if you want to do your thing, I'm really happy for you to do that, and that's great. But we're about trying to just nudge everyone away from doing everything has to be on the ground. And unfortunately, that's where the industry is going. That's where all the new kits are going, and that's something I want to just push a little bit to the side. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm not trying to push anybody. Well, I'd like to see people go there on their own. We had a club meeting last night down in Southern Maryland. The geeks were there. Tim was there for El Presidente and the gang. And we have a great club down in Southern Maryland. I brought down, I don't know if you've seen it online, I had my Mosquito that I recently did for the Brit Modeler group build. And I also had the A4 down there that I just finished a couple of days ago. And I had two people, and that's what I like the most. I had two people come up going, that Mustang, I'm going to go out and I'm going to build something in flight. And that's nice to see somebody see what I was trying to do, take a snapshot, moment in time, aircraft in flight, and I guess inspire is the best way to do it. But I was joking with Scott Samo there about I'm probably going to mispronounce it, Qatari. Beautiful 109 that they came out with. The thing, and Scott did a phenomenal job on it. But as I was looking at it at the table, I was trying to go underneath and look at it. And I'm like, Scott, you're killing me, man. You should have built this in flight so I could see the bottom of the aircraft. I can't.
Like the boxer.
He's got it mounted on the base. And there's beautiful detail on the bottom. You just can't kind of see it because of the base. And I was joking with him. I was like, the next one you got to build it in flight and put the flaps up, put the gear up, close the radiator cowlings and get this thing flying around. So, I like the feeling when folks come up going, wow, I like what you did there, and then decide to go off and do it on their own, as whatever degree they take that to.
Yep.
Once upon a time, model manufacturers, they gave you an aircraft stand to mount it in flight. I think back in the old Airfix days from the 60s and 70s. Revels. And I'm struggling to think of the last time I opened up an aircraft, not that I opened Doom Mini, that came with a stand to show it in flight.
The only model I've done an extensive survey this. Sorry, Colin. It's
no, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, it's Hasegawa with their new tool modern F-35 and MV-22s and CV-22s. They have a flight stand. And then, of course, the Tamiya single-engine 132 scale all have a flight stand.
Yep.
That's it. No more. That's it. As far as I know. Sorry. Go ahead, Colin.
I was going to say the same thing. Most of my collection down there is the 32nd scale, Spitz, Mustang, Corsair. They come with stands already. And yeah, I've already built the M20 or MV22 and some of the other ones there from Hasegawa. But other than that, you're on your own. You're figuring it out yourself.
Yep. Wouldn't the fact that it comes with a stand take a back seat to having the ability to close up all of the landing gear? Isn't that the more difficult aspect of building?
It is and it isn't because it depends upon the manufacturer.
To me, are actually with their 32nd scale kits with the stands, they do give you the option.
But
the kit parts are made to fit. The kit parts are made to fit in a closed position when there's a stand usually included with the kit. The challenge becomes when they don't, and it's not intended to be built like that. For example, today I was sitting in the basement with the PCM Tempest, beautiful aircraft. But I sat there for a good hour with the pieces of the gear going, how am I going to get this stuff closed? Because it had no intention of ever being, done gear up. And and Chris has faced that with multiple kits, except the Tamiya 32nd scale F4 Phantom, the number one kit out there. Gear fit, all the multi-piece gear doors. They fit gear up without a single modification. You just literally lay them in and glue them.
But that's
no
because
stands included in that.
But that's 1990s technology.
Yeah.
So Airfix sort of level. I'll just put that dig in there to Airfix. That's when that's when I reckon it shifted. It shifted about the 1990s onwards, where the aircraft manufacturers, they just stopped worrying about in flight. So, for example, all the new tool Tamiya 148 doesn't fit. None of their stuff fits. And so, to me, the real reason we're not seeing a lot of in-flight aircraft is the two things: you don't get a stand, and you can't do wheels up without a lot of, I would call it basic modelling skills, but it's more just fiddly. It's just a pain in the ass, to use an Australian expression.
I think the main problem would be because the wheel wells are so shallow.
Yes.
And that comes down to because they're plastic injected.
Yes.
And so they're going to be it's a lot thicker material than the proper scale.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what's a kit I did recently? I think it was, it was the Tamiya 148 Spitfire, the Mark 1, the brand new, second coming of Jesus.
Oh, that's a beautiful
fantastic kit.
Yeah.
It's terrible in flight. It took a lot of carving away all the material, and everything to get it working. And then the wheels are too fat; they won't fit in the wheel wells.
Yep.
So it's a constant frustration, and this is why I'm a bit more sympathetic to people who say, "Oh, just put it down, wheels down. It's so much easier."
Are the aftermarket guys zeroing in on this? I mean, because they do just about everything else. Are they?
Nope.
There's
no.
That's
pilots,
weird,
yes.
Yeah.
Pilots we're sort of covered here and there. From Rito does amazing 3D. PJ Productions, they're out of Edward, Aerobonus. Pilots are fine, but the only stands you can get are from ICM, and Airfix has their 1960s style stands you can buy if you can find them.
Yeah.
Nobody does wheels up 3D printed stuff. Nobody.
So you 3D manufacturers out there, listen in.
The trouble is, where do you start as a cottage industry manufacturer? Because there's so many aircraft out there.
You start off with the big
Exactly.
three: Spitfire, Mustang, Messerschmitt.
Yeah, but on what scale do you choose to start off?
Mate, with 3D printing, you can choose all scales.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. Yeah.
Just got to scale it up or down.
Yeah.
Well, Collin did hit on something. He did suggest something about Kotari.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my first one I'm going to be doing. I'm 3D designing parts that you can just drop fit into their Spitfires.
So
cool.
Just I've looked at a couple of YouTubes on the building of the Qatari aircraft. Is it designed in such a way that you can do it wheels up without any issues?
Nope.
Okay.
You got the kit, Chris?
that was a lot shorter than I
That
expected.
was a truthful answer.
I've built the Mark 1 mid Qatari. I've just to be clear, I've bought every single Qatari kit since it's come out because I want to support them. I think they're doing an amazing job. I'm really salute what they're doing, but I don't like their wheels down bias. So yeah, to convert it to wheels up is a pain. Even though they've engineered the main landing gear fantastically well, you do have to do a lot of carving, a lot of changing of things, and also because they've actually designed the kit so that the control stick is tilted to the left because the rudder has when it's parked, they tilt left or right, I can't remember. So you have to actually modify the controls as well, and you have to modify the rudder. So it's a cascading sort of thing.
Yeah.
A lot of times I'll leave everything out of the kit. Like the wheel wells, they'll never go in there. I'll work the skin of the aircraft. Paul Budzik does a bunch of good videos on stuff like that. But if you look at my recent, it's hard to. I don't have too many pictures of it. The Mosquito I just built for the Brit Modeler group build. To me, they fit the gear doors kind of fit okay. But you're going to have to sit there for a couple hours with the file and take a little off, test fit. It's very fiddly work, but you're still going to be left with gaps. You're going to have to fill in gaps. You're going to have to do some rescribing and stuff. Basic modeling skills above and beyond just, building it gear down. And that's I think what turns a lot of folks off. But when Qatari builds their Hellcat, I'm sure the Hellcat's going to have a gear up option. I just wanted to get that out there before.
I don't know.
I've already emailed them about the Hellcat they're going to do in the future, but we'll see if that ever happens. Because we're all dying for a 30-second scale new tool Hellcat for a lot of folks.
Of course, it's one of the greatest fighters ever built.
Indeed.
And there's one horrible kit and one very old kit of it out there.
Yes.
Or you can get the Airfix one, but they don't give you a pilot.
Yeah, and some of the pilots out there in the kits are horrible. They're blobs.
Yeah, we remember those ones from the 1960s and 70s.
It's really interesting. It's one area of injection molding that hasn't really improved over the last 20 years, except for Hasegawa. So Hasegawa is 132, and even the 172nd scale, for example, their Kawanishi Emily, are amazingly detailed, beautiful pilots, but nobody else is doing that. They've all just sort of dropped the ball and said, no, we'll just do more open panels.
Yeah.
Because that's easy to do. I mean, I'm sorry, but it is easy and lazy to 3D design an open panel, chuck in some wires and things, and it is to actually pay some guy with a Z brush to do 20, 30, 40, 50 hours of molding a new pilot figure. That's why they don't do it.
Yeah,
and Chris brought this up earlier, but about cockpits and stuff like that. As I build more aircraft in flight, I realize what's never going to be seen. I just recently finished that A4 Skyhawk, and I used washes and some other things inside the cockpit. And I've been in an A4 cockpit. And I've got broad shoulders. You are in there. They fit the aircraft around you. And I'm just sitting there as I'm kind of test fitting everything going, the second I put this guy in the seat, which you have every pilot, you got to cut the legs off. There's no kit pilot ever fits in an aircraft correctly. You're taking half the body off. You're probably taking at least the boots or the feet off, if not from the knee down, to get the pilot to fit in there. But once all that's in there and once the canopy's on top, the Mosquito is the same way. I usually only concentrate on cockpit details, and that's part of the pre-building that I do. I try to piece everything together, put the canopy on, and go, okay, what can you actually see in here when you look at the navigator and the pilot, or the pilot sitting in the A4? Okay, that's what I'm going to concentrate on painting. The rudder pedals, the bottom of the instrument panel, you cannot even see, you could cut them off and nobody would ever know they're in there.
But what about the Instagram, Colin? You won't be able to share those pictures on Instagram.
Yeah.
Because the funny thing is they go to all this effort to detail up the cockpit, and I really salute them for doing that. And then you take it to a model show, and unless you're wearing a loop and you bend your head over the model and look at it, you can't see it.
No, that's right.
You can't see that detail.
Yeah.
So whenever I get someone saying, "Oh no, I don't want to go in flight because I'll lose all the detail in the cockpit if you put a pilot in," just as Colin said, I'm like, you can't see it. So you're spending 10, 15, 20 hours detailing out the cockpit, and great, go for it. But you could have been spending that time getting that thing up in the air. Now, I just spent 2 weeks scratch building the interior of my Academy Sea Stallion. And the windows are about 15 millimeters tall. You can't see anything. And I'm just like, I decided to do it just to prove to all the naysayers who say to me, "Oh, Chris, it's the reason you don't do it. You're not skilled enough to do scratch building or to build a cockpit." I'm like, well, actually, I can do it. I just don't want to do it anymore. I've had enough. I want to get that thing in the air. So whatever shortcuts I can make, including using those 3D cockpit panels, they're fantastic because you just slap them down, off you go, you're finished. I'll do it.
Yeah, I always had that sort of, not always, but I mean, I definitely had that opinion when I was still building aircraft. Like, why am I wasting half of my time detailing a cockpit that won't be seen? You can't see anything. At least not in 48 scale. I can understand 30-second scale, but...
Oh, yeah, but you know, in 40 years, when your relatives have taken it because you've passed on, and they put it on the shelf and they drop it on the floor and it splits open, they'll go, "Oh, wow, he did such a great job in the interior."
They'll colonize them for us.
Yeah, that's right.
Drop them on the floor.
I mean, like, this is just my thoughts, because, like, I would go around the tables at Model Expo and, you look in the cockpit and it's just a hole. It's just a dark hole.
Yeah.
And then you can see maybe the top half of the instrument panel and not much else. It's just the seat. The seat and the top half of the instrument panel, and that's all you can see, really.
Yep.
Very true. And then, you would get, like, Eduard kits, and they give you the little photo etch pedals with the little loops that go over the top. It's like, why?
Can I make a suggestion? What I would like to see, because we've got this revolution in 3D printing, I really want to see cockpits becoming 1/12, 1/16 scale standalone models.
Yes.
I think that's where that should go, because...
Yeah, because Eshy did that with a couple of...
Yeah, the BF-109.
No, Eshy did the F-104
the F-104.
and the F-16.
Yes, yeah.
I remember when I was a kid.
To me, that would,
without
if you put that on a plinth... Sorry, Colin, go ahead.
With or without a pilot figure in there, because you can't just have a cockpit empty. You need a pilot in.
Yeah, I would love to see the pilot as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, to me, if you're going to display a cockpit, let's really display it. It's like with engines. I mean, I really like the Great Wall Hobby with their P40, or the Curtis Hawk. They actually allow you to display the entire engine separate from your model, and then they give you closed cowls if you want to do the rest of the model completely closed up.
Yes.
We should be going back to that instead of having an autopsied, engine just sitting in front of an airframe.
And
we're getting off.
Tamiya's pretty good. Tamiya's pretty good, I think, with their 30-second scale kits like that. You can build up the Merlins, you can build all the engine, or you can leave them out and just put the panels on. Which, when I build my Mosquitoes and that, they're all going to be in flight. So, if anybody wants my Merlins out there, I'll give them away, because I literally have a spare parts. I don't have a box. I have.
Oh, Colin, you're the same as me.
I have a body bag full of parts that over the years have not been used for either from trumpeter kits, because they put way too much on the inside there that you're never going to see, or engines, or you name it. I just throw it in there because you never know when you're going to use it. But it's literally a body bag that sits and reminds me of, either the kits I've colonized in the past or, have built, and all the guts, the intestines of the planes are still sitting in that bag.
I'm the same, and you mentioned Paul Budzik before. I agree. He came up with the idea. What model manufacturers should do is, when they release a new tooled subject, they should do 2 separate kits. One kit should be bare bones, wheels up. There's no wheel well detail. There's no open panels, nothing. So it's literally half as many sprues. And then the other kit should have everything. It should have all the internals, landing gear, all the parts you want to do, so that, and it usually should be, that one would be more expensive and the basic one cheaper, but it's the same external look, And so it allows the model manufacturer to have two separate models using the same sort of,
Did
same sort of
Mini
method of
Art just do
engineering.
that with their? Did Mini Art just do that with their Thunderbolt?
They did, and a friend of mine, he MJ Rising, he built their so-called basic one, but unfortunately they tripped themselves up. They still couldn't help themselves, and they tried to put as many parts in as possible. And they made the cow multi-part, and they should have just simplified it like an old school 1990s Tamiya kit that just falls together, with no dramas.
I think the problem with that is that having two separate products isn't gonna sell very well, if you know what I mean.
Well, I agree with
exactly
from a marketing point of view, but Airfix are notorious for this, where they'll release something and it'll have, and I did a video on the Sea King where I thought they completely screwed the pooch on the Sea King. They made it with 5 variants in one box with a full interior, and it's just parts after parts after parts. The recommended retail price skyrockets because of that. And then over the next 12 months, they've drip-fed new little versions of it. And I'm like, why don't you come out with one that's 3/4 the price with not as many parts, and then tease, hey, in 3 months, we're going to release an advanced kit. And then 3 months of that, we're going to have another version. So you get multiple sales because people will be more wanting to buy that cheaper product to start with. Hey, I'll give this kit a go. It's only $60 instead of $120. I loved it. I want to get another one, and I'll get another one. I'll get another one. I'm real reluctant to be spending more than $100 on a kit, even though for me, I don't care what the cost is, but I can see how, multiple times you want to build the same subject or different subjects on one kit, and you're like, oh, do I have to modify this part? I'm not going to use this sprue. It'll go into the body bag, like Collin says, and it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, it becomes a bit of a drag the way they're doing it. See what Airfix did today with their 124 Spitfire, the beer Spitfire.
They kind of do that with car models where they'll release the basic version and they'll release a kit with a couple of extra small sprues that will have little like fenders and things like that, or wings that will change the appearance of it, right? Like little modification sort of bits so that you can do a race car version, say. But the problem with like the one that you outlined where it requires a complete re-engineering of the cowl panels, right?
Yeah.
So then, like, it makes more sort of sense in the manufacturing where they have like a core part of the kit, and that's the kit, and then they can just release little bits and pieces afterwards that are added on to, change it up. But if you have to sort of have a completely separate cowl, that's a bit different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, but. Yeah, I'm just complaining because I can't.
Yeah, if we look to the Armour world, because they do full interior and models without full interiors, I think there's a ratio of about 1:20 that an Armour kit with a full interior, they'll only sell one against they'll sell 20 of it without the full interior. Because people, once you do a tank, you've got to try and figure out a way to display it so you can see the full interior. If you just put the turret on and open the hatches, unless you've got a decent light, you're not going to see much in there anyway.
That's right.
And I don't think a lot of modelers perhaps purchase those kits with that'd be great to build one day, and it sort of sits on the stash. You got the purists who might go down at track and actually build it and figure out a way to display it exploded so you can see it. And you got those, which is... perhaps most of the other ones who do it once and go, I'm never going to go down that road again, because it just sucks the energy out of you.
I like the idea of all models having opt-in detail, right? Mm. So as, for things like engines and cockpits, they're sort of, a lot of that should be optional things that you can buy extra if you want to opt for it.
Yeah.
Right? And then, you could simplify the process of manufacturing the kit.
Mm. I want to move on now to talk about the one thing that annoys me about in-flight models. And that
here
is,
we go.
That is
The rod.
It's prop-driven aircraft with a prop just sitting there still, as if it's, the engine's dead. Or even worse, they do it in flight and the prop's still and there's no pilot in there. If you're trying to not tell a story but show something,
Well, you're touching on a part that I was thinking about before, which is aircraft in flight are a kind of diorama, right?
Or a vignette.
Vignette.
or
Yeah,
diorama?
vignette's probably a better way.
Oh, vignette.
Vignette.
Okay, well, let's use the word vignette then. I mean, like the whole point of it is you're putting it in a setting, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, there are solutions to doing props in flight, and I think Collin, didn't you do one recently on your Mozzie, on your Mosquito?
I sent a little list ahead of time, and that was one of the topics I had brought up. But, as Chris knows, jets are easy. You got a tailpipe, afterburner open and closed, whatever. Jets are easy. Props, anytime I put a build online, I just know I'm going to get feedback, so it depends on the aircraft. My personal opinion is anything with a hub, Mustang, Mosquito, P-38, something like that. You could go either way. I don't necessarily like the prop not spinning. Just put the prop on there, and you could say the camera shutter was, exactly matched.
Yeah.
And if you had taken a picture of the aircraft, yes, the prop would stop. I've built models with no props, and you just got the hub itself out there, which, and I work with some aviators that work and stuff like that. All my work is sitting around my office, and they come in and they go, oh yeah, they since they're aviators, they see, okay, the spinning prop, and you wouldn't necessarily see the blades. There is the product out there that I like to use called, prop blur, which are brass, etched brass, trying to simulate that swirling motion of a blade. I've been working with Tim Collin there from the Geeks on trying to 3D print stuff like that. I think that's the next major breakthrough for folks like Chris and I, when somebody can 3D print or create that spinning prop look thing that looks like a spinning prop. I'm an aviator, so I have a very critical eye toward it. Probably the best compliment I ever got was 2 years ago at the PaxCon contest. I put my big Thunderbolt on the table, and Frildo from the Geeks, his wife, came out to see me, and she's like, I swear to God, I thought your airplane was like an RC airplane flying around, because I had put the 32nd scale prop blurs on there, and they're very fine. And she actually, the second she saw it, she's like, wow, that's flying. So, and that's what I'm looking to try to draw out when I build something like that. But there's always folks online that hate the prop blur, hate whatever you do to try to simulate a spinning prop. And I think that's going to be the holy grail when it's finally found.
I don't mind the prop blur, but what annoys me at the prop blur, it's like a politician. It fools me once, and then I can't not see it, and I get annoyed with it. The solution is obviously put a little electric engine in there. I mean, they look fantastic. Say exactly that. Yeah. So jump the whole prop blurring stuff and all the headaches that has, and just shove a little electric brushless motor in there, and off you go.
Tamiya used to bring out a range of 1/48 scale. They call them propeller action kits, which was just their P47, their Zero, I think the Focke-Wulf 190, and a few others, where they included their RC prop dash or touch dash motor, which means there's no on and off switch usually. You just have to spin the prop and then stop it, and it stops and starts whenever you want to.
Yep.
And I've collected quite a few of those, because I'm going to retrofit those motors into things that I think actually need a spinning prop. Like, as Collin alluded to, anything with a hub or a spinner, I think the simple solution is get a piece of Milliputt and just fill the holes where the prop hub is, where the props come out, and then you just paint a blur, dark grey or off black line around the bottom, and it looks like, from a distance, the prop's spinning. But sort of radial engine...
But that's from the distance, though, and as I said, it fools me once, and then when I go back and I go, I can't unsee it then, you know what I mean?
That's true. I mean, but the gold standard is an actual spinning prop.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of kits, it's really hard to do that. There's many chaps on our Facebook group who've shown you how you can do that, how to mount a little micro motor in there, but then now you're moving into areas of, you need to be able to do wiring and soldering and that sort of stuff, particularly for the multi-prop stuff.
Well, there's solutions for that, and in fact, we're having a guy on in August who's got a fantastic solution for electronics where it's just plug and play, and it's all wireless. You just push something on. You download an app, and you can configure everything on your app, and it works. So, but then I think to myself, okay, so let's put an engine in there, but if I'm doing that, I'm also show the anti-collision lights. I'm also show the navigation lights. So it's a slippery slope, isn't it?
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, it's a question of are you wanting to show something in time, like a frozen moment in time, so you get that glimpse? So I treat my aircraft models as if I'm looking at aviation art. It's a moment in time frozen. There we are. So, for example, my Academy Super Stallion I'm doing. Massive 7-blade main rotor. It's got a 4-blade tail rotor. I'm not spinning them, but I'm putting them in the right coning. I'm putting them in just in the right position so that if you take a picture of it, that's what it looks like. That's the picture of a sea stallion when it's hovering. That's what it looks like.
Yep.
So you've got to make that conscious choice
as well. Yeah, that's how I build as well. I try to that instant. That's what I guess that's what a vignette is. An instant in time of if you were to snap a photo of whatever action it is from whatever angle. That's what I'm just trying to capture that moment. But my personal opinion is the spinning props. If I were to look down a table at a contest, to me, that's a little more toy-like than capturing that moment in time. Just my personal opinion.
I'm just going to drag you back there, Collin, to the work that Simon Stagg did on his Osprey with the prop spinning on that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's just gorgeous. And it's not in flight because it's sitting on the ground, but the engine nacelles are rotated up. It looks like she's just about ready to take off again, and he's got that gorgeous trick where he's done it so, on the Osprey, he's got that sort of lime light that sort of lights up the end of the props, and he's replicated that just perfectly.
Yeah, I'm stealing that for mine.
One thing, because I've semi-followed you with your what's it called, the CH53 thing.
Yep.
Yeah. That whole what's it called, the rotor hub? That's all resin, right? It's like a really complicated resin kit, right?
Yeah, that's the second iteration by the Ukrainians, the res kit. I bought their original one, which was first generation 3D printing, and then it was okay, much better than the Academy stuff because it's a 30-year-old kit. Yeah. And then they did a second iteration, and it's a kit in of itself. If they blew that up to 132 or 124th, oh my god, it would be an amazing piece of engineering. Originally, I did aeronautical engineering, and to me, I would love to have models of those sort of components as a separate kit.
Well, I mean, like for the purposes of like what you do with in-flight, isn't that like a big problem that you're dealing with resin and it's not very structurally sound, and you're going to have to glue the blades on somehow and blah, 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 blah?
Absolutely. That's why I'm not spinning it like Dave wants me to. It's just going to sit there because it's too fragile for anything else. But when I do, I've got the Trumpeter or Hobby Boss, whatever it's called, the Kamov KA25, I believe it's called.
Okay.
It has counter-rotational. It's the dual axle props. They've actually engineered that with the proper contra-rotating gearbox inside the kit.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And I'm just gonna shove one of those touch dash motors inside, and so they'll spin counter. But they've designed they design the parts that way.
Now, like the V22, that counter-rotating prop, that is a kit that would actually, to go back to the point you made about spinning props, I think a lot of it depends on the subject too. V22, the counter-rotating Russian helicopter, that would actually look pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In action.
Yeah.
But giant.
Some of those rotating ones, they have the axes on an angle, left and right, and they actually sort of pass through each other.
The KA.
Yeah, that's the intermeshing one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about the ones that the rotors are on top of each other.
Yeah. That's simpler.
That will just see colonize very quickly.
Yeah, I can see somebody at a model contest trying to stick their finger in that as it's spinning. And
That's right.
Then you got stuff all over the place.
Collin, you just said the magic word model contest. So here's another question to pose to both of you gentlemen, and I'll start off with you first, Collin. Do you think that models in flight are penalised or overlooked at competitions?
I'm not a big competition person. My gut reaction is yes. I think IPMS has on the state side has recently put an in-flight category into the national, spotlight. I know at PAXCon we have an in-flight. I'll actually be sponsoring that build or that part of the contest. But yeah, I think I don't think you'll see a lot of them on the table, but I do think it needs to be exposed. I think as in-flight gets more exposure, there'll be more folks doing it, and more folks doing it means you need a place for them in a contest so that they can display or compete their work. But again, right now, probably only one category. You'll have props in there. You'll have jets. But from an in-flight builder, I'm looking for how they built it in flight. If I were to judge, I'd be like, how well did they take a Airfix Jaguar, which Chris has already put a video out on? It's not supposed to be built in flight. It's built purposely for gear down. But if somebody takes the time to convert it to an in-flight build, that is a lot of work and a lot of craftsmanship that should go into the judging criteria. But I do think it's I think it just goes to most contests right now. If I were to bring an in-flight kit in, it would just go in the general aircraft category and not be on its own. And I don't think there's any way a beautifully done in-flight aircraft is going to compete against, an autopsy beautiful, 109 or Mustang with every, whiz bang. Again, no hit against the workmanship or the craftsmanship that went into it, but I think that's just the way the judging, skews the results. Chris, what do you think?
Well, I have a limited view on this because my experience with competitions only to a state level, not national. I wanted to go to the Melbourne Model Expo, but I was sick, and I intend to go to the Scale ACT later this year. But
nice.
I've been competing since about 2017, and I wanted to walk the walk. And I've only been modelling aircraft since 2014, and so the first couple of times I just did all model aircraft in flight. Tammy 132, and I was only getting bronzes and stuff. And I thought I'm better than this, and a bit of ego and that sort of thing. So I judged the following year to learn, okay, what is actually going on. And to my surprise, and maybe this is just the vagaries of the way my state competition, QMHE, which is next month, they don't really run an IPMS system. They, as Collin said, they actually take into account, actually, to get that thing in flight, you've actually had to use a bit of craftsmanship to do that. And also, they don't put you in a separate category. They don't go, you're down the end of the table with the short bus folk. You're actually gonna compete against the likes of Eric Galliers and all the top modelers of the time.
Yeah.
But they do, to their credit, they do separate into three categories. So there's standard out of the box. There's multimedia, which is you just slap photo etch on something, and then there's modified, which means you've done something to that kit to make it a bit better than what's in the box. And I usually have my models put into that category because you have to modify every single aircraft kit out there usually to make it in-flight posable. Now, so I went to judging, I learned, I listened, I went to judging a second, third time and realised, okay, there is a bias there, let's be honest, because 95% of aircraft modelers model on the ground. That's what their brains are all tuned to. They're car modelers like Julian. And
He's just right off.
I started to actually win medals, golds and all that in categories within flight when I realised they weren't being that biased and I wasn't being as voted down as much. But I don't compete that much anymore. I just, like last year, I just put models out there so people can see them. And just like Collin, I love I walk around the tables and you listen to non-modelers go, that's fantastic. I love that thing in flight. I love that. Because I had a 132 scale F14 a year or so ago, and I had a bunch of kids just hanging around it. It was Iceman from Top Gun that I built. And, this thing's nearly 3 feet in diameter, and it's on knife edge, so it sits 4 foot above the table. And they're all just going, wow. They're not saying wow to the one next to it, which had all the panels open and all the, anyway. So my experience is limited in that respect. I've heard more and more that IPMS is somewhat biased against in-flight. I don't know. I haven't been to the national competition. I've heard anecdotally from other people that they are. I've been sponsoring in-flight models, so there's a special category at my state competition sponsored by myself for the best in-flight model, and that includes sci-fi as well, because sci-fi is almost done in flight as well. I think it's not as bad as we see. The problem I see with competitions is the representation isn't there. I spend a lot of my spare time just scrolling through hundreds of photos of aircraft models at overseas competitions, national competitions, the IPMS nationals, and I just get bored. Just scroll. In flight. Whoa. Okay, and it's about 3%. So that's where it is for me. So
Really?
I'm trying to keep my own personal views.
I believe it or not, I'm not a IPMS member. I used to be, but I'm not anymore. But since Nats is relatively close here to Washington D.C., I'll be going down for a couple of days, and I'll be interested to see what's on the table there when it comes to in-flight, I'll obviously report back to Chris and others what I saw. But yeah, it's extra work, just like with any other category, but it's a very small sampling. I don't see a whole lot of in-flight anywhere. Japan, Korea, but Europe. It's mostly gear down with everything open and all for show, like a beautiful car, an aircraft, all opened up.
Yeah.
But
the funny thing is, I'm actually against IPMS making it a separate category. As much as I say,
I agree with you.
It's a separate hobby.
Yes,
I think they should be amongst all the other ones.
I agree.
I don't think they should be shoved down the end of the table to a special category, because they're all different. We all have different approaches to the hobby, and it's good to see variety. When you go to a show.
Yeah.
What about go ahead, Colin?
Well, didn't they? Again, it was a couple of years ago at the IPMS Nationals. They had the KC-135 in-flight refueling the SR-71 or B-52 or something like that. Everybody I know that went to that show was like, I don't even know if that came close to winning best in show or something like that. But that's a snapshot in time, and that is something that caught everybody's attention. And like I said, the in-flight genre, the in-flight groupies are slowly getting, I do it for the same reason Chris just said. I want folks to sit around and go, wow, that's cool. I think I'll try to build something in flight. And then I can walk away happy. I put my stuff out for display. I don't do anything for medals. I've gotten some in the past and I'm like, great, they're in the basement, but that's not what I build for.
Well, you are a very fine builder. I mean, I've looked at your Mosquito and your latest one, your A4. That looks gorgeous. And, of course, as Chris mentioned, just go to Facebook and go to Scale Model Aircraft in Flight, where a whole host of these loony people who think that aircraft should be modelled in the sky.
It's a big inspiration.
Actually posting. It is. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I say that with tongue-in-cheek, the loony people, because I'm actually a convert. And I'm doing a dinosaur at the moment, an X20. And that's actually going to be done in flight as well. So,
it doesn't surprise me that you would be a convert, Dave, just because you're into real space and real space.
Yeah.
Well, he's the rocket man, yeah. So
it's hard to do rockets in flight. I'll give you that tip.
Cauliflower, David.
Yeah, cauliflower.
You can do them really well just launching. But in flight's a bit sort of as a bridge too far, I think. But anyway.
Well, that's my
tinted acrylic.
My crusade is I'm developing. Touching back to the top of the conversation, the two main problems we find with making models in flight is closing those wheel wells and having a flight stand.
Well, how do you gentlemen feel then about aircraft shown coming in for landing or just taking off? So it's actually off the ground with the wheels lifting up. doing it that way, does that not then overcome the issues you've got with closing it up fully?
Yeah, it does, but it's like
It's a bit of a cop out. Is that what you're saying?
no. It's like seeing the back of the supermodel, not the front. I'm being vulgar. I apologise, but no. In all seriousness, it's a great thing. Like for example, seeing an F-14 on approach is amazing. That's an amazing thing to see. The turkey, trying to land there, or seeing something take off, or an ME-262 trying to land. But it's not. The beauty is seeing a Mustang on knife edge going around a Reno racing, or seeing a Spitfire inverted. Flying after a 109. That to me, that's the pinnacle.
Right. So you'll look at a P-51 coming in for landing or just taking off, but a P-51 on a knife edge, you'll take that one out for a date. That's what you're telling me.
Oh, every day. Don't care if it does.
And that's where Chris and I will probably differ a little bit.
That's okay to differ too, isn't it?
No. It's you're right behind you. You got the was that ME-262 getting strafed coming into land by what, a Mustang? Or somebody?
Yep.
Yeah. So again, being an aviator and having that eye, for lack of a better term, one of my more recent colonized project. Not my fault, I will say. I had a beautifully done Skyraider.
But hey, wait, Collin. But it was your fault it got colonized, though.
Yeah, well, it was an inadvertent colonize.
It wasn't Zuke Mora, was it?
It was no. It was a 48 scale Tamiya A1J. To Chris's point, Tamiya's 48 scale kits, their gear doors are extremely challenging to do in the closed position. The Skyraider, perfect example of that. But
Don't say that.
I've seen enough photos. Yeah, I've seen enough photos of a fully laden A1J coming down the runway, gaining lift. The gears starting to come up, and they come up like the P40, at different rates. Flaps, hood open, guy with the boom mic on. And I'm like, that's what I want to capture. And you could capture that with an in-flight, with the gear just coming up, and with a prop, with a runway blur underneath it. Yeah. And you instantly look at it and you're like, he's just taken off.
Yeah.
And it was finished. It was beautiful. I was literally walking across my model room to the bench where I had a white blanket put up so I could take photos of it. And literally I fell right on top of it. Oh. And it was split right down. It was a loss. My daughter was upstairs and she heard me yelling. It was bad. I was very frustrated. So that was the inadvertent Collin. But P-51 with the gear and transition just coming up. I got that being planned to do. So I think Chris builds more of here's the aircraft pristinely in a in-flight environment. I try to put a little air quotes something to it. So you'll see a lot of my builds with A4 was different. I just wanted to build a model in flight. That's how I did the A4. But if you look at some of my 30-second builds, there's usually a blurred base, or I'm trying to, show some movement of the aircraft across the ground or across the sky or something like that. So I try to invoke a little bit of motion with it.
Oh, and, you try to make it a bit more dynamic.
Yeah, and I just try to, make a little bit more, put a little more atmosphere on it instead of just a static aircraft.
The funny thing is, Collin, I'm actually taking a leaf out of your own book, and that's what I've been doing with my most recent builds. I did a P-51 Airfix 172, filled the prop spinner, and I had a blurred background. And to me, that was an experiment. I had it on an angle, and that just blew me away. I'm like, whoa, I need to do that again. And that's when I did the Tamiya 148 Spitfire, which I've actually painted in black and white. And it's got a black and white blurred background, or a cloud background. And I've designed that so you can almost not see it's carbon fiber rod holding the whole aircraft up. And again, with a filled spinner, there's no prop there at all. And the flight stands that I'm designing in 3D, I've actually designed them so you can put one of those, I think that's from Coastal Kits in the UK.
Yep.
They sell these blur backgrounds, A4 or A5. I've actually designed it so you can actually put it on and just glue it on in one go to the stand if you want to have a blurred background.
Now, where did I see somewhere somebody was doing aircraft stands and it's the shadow of the aircraft underneath it?
Yeah, I experimented with that, but I thought the better way to do it is to have a modular sort of stand that you can either do just a simple desktop stand, with the rod coming out of the exhaust, or a rod underneath. But this way I've designed it so that it actually is on an angle. I was hoping to show it to you guys today, but I haven't got it here. You just actually glue the base, because it's a 6 mil thick sort of cardboardy sort of base. You just glue it to the stand with double-sided tape or something, you've got an instant blurred background. So it's finished.
I do have a couple of projects where I plan on doing the aircraft low to the ground with its shadow projected underneath it, because I've seen that in the real world, and sometimes you see the shadow before you see the aircraft.
Yeah.
Little sea story for you Australian folks.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it was Rimpack 96, I think it was, off of Hawaii. I think you guys were still flying 111s at the time. I know there were 111s out there.
Yes, we were.
We were about 30 miles away from Mom, the carrier, doing our thing. And somebody came up on the radio going, "Hey, Vampire's inbound, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" I remember looking out of the cockpit, looking down, and I saw the shadow going across the water, two of them. And I called up the carrier. I'm like, "You got two 111s, 230, 30 miles. They'll be there in about 10 seconds." They were smashing at speed, but I didn't see the aircraft. I saw their shadows. That's how close to the water they were.
What were you flying at the time, Collin?
I was flying the S3 off of.
That would be an awesome diorama, wouldn't it? To have a seascape and to have you in the S3, and then to have those shadows on the water itself. That would be brilliant.
Yeah, that was. I vividly remember those guys just slamming across the water. I'm like, wow, there they go. Off they went. right toward the carrier, and
good luck.
But yeah, I would see, and they had plenty of gas left. I think they did another run. But there's some desert scenes and stuff like that where I want to definitely put a shadow of the aircraft. Again, just something to invoke. I want somebody to walk up there and look at it and go, "Oh, that's what I'm looking for." That moment. And sometimes you can do that with, a shadow projection, a rudder bent, that mosquito build I just did. I had it diving in on a Dornier on a night flight, stuff like that. Just something small. And it was funny last night at the club. People didn't see the aircraft kind of until they're like, "What's the pilot looking at?" I'm like, "Well, stand back here where the pilot, and look where the pilot's looking." They're like, "Oh wow, there's a German plane down there." I'm like, "Yep, he's going to get the plane." So I don't know. Chris won't ever run out of ideas if he's just building aircraft on this. I'll just say it in the nice terms, aircraft on a stick. I try to build a atmosphere around it, and that's sometimes challenging. Like today, I was down there with the Tempest and the little V1 model going, and the ground blur, and I'm like, okay, what's the geometry I would have to do to make it look convincing that you would have a Tempest coming down on a smaller scale to give you that scale effect of a Tempest coming down off of a dive to go get a V1 over England. So
I've got to throw just a couple of honourable mentions, and looking again back to your Facebook page you got there. There's some fantastic builders who are displaying the work there. Simon Stagg, I've already mentioned his, but you can go back through and look at his work where he's doing, bombers over Europe, for example, and a couple of those ones that he's done. And it's what I find really intriguing, and Jasper Brewer is another one.
Yes.
It's not just the aircraft in flight, it's what they can see and what you're looking at below them that really completes the whole thing and makes it look so dynamic. So Jasper's got an SU something or other flying over.
Is that the guy pulling off after a bomb run?
Yeah.
You can see the explosion on the ground and everything.
Yeah. And then to come back to Simon again, he's got the B-17 flying over Europe somewhere with 3 engines running and 1 engine out, and the bombs being pickled over somewhere over Germany. I mean, these are just sort of really well thought out, really well executed, and just look at that. It's just a joy to stand there and look at it.
And the other one I like too is when they mount them like on a vertical frame.
Yeah.
So the actual aircraft is like coming out of the picture.
Yeah, that's another
in
good
flight.
way,
There's one I saw before with the Brewster Buffalo.
Yeah, that was
probably over
gorgeous.
Malaysia or somewhere, and that to me
That's how
also
I'm doing
tells
my black and white Spitfire. Yeah.
it tells a great story.
Yeah.
That's what at least that's what I'm going for. Chris and I are just going through that Facebook page. Chris and I are a small sampling of I think a lot of folks that think like us and want to build that aha moment, that create that moment with an in-flight model. And I do the same thing you do. I'll just scroll through that and other websites just to get ideas and go, and then something will click. And I steal probably many ideas from folks that are on that same Facebook page.
Absolutely, same here.
Because there's some people out there with creativity. I'm like, how did they? I gotta steal that. Sorry, I'm gonna do that.
I mean, there's quite a lot of variation in how you can go about posing and creating that in-flight look, isn't there?
Yeah.
Well, that's
you're
the
not stuck
sort
in
of,
one way.
Yeah, the bias we're trying to overcome, I think, is the broader modelling community. When you say, I do model aircraft in flight, they immediately think, oh, you're an 8-year-old who hangs the models from the ceiling with string, right?
Yeah.
Instead of saying, well, actually, no, we're trying to, like Collin says, we're trying to tell a story. We're trying to capture a moment of some atmosphere, dare I say it, make it artistic even. And they're like, oh, really? How do you do that with a rod stuck up its bum? It's the negativity, trying to push people over into that sort of say, actually, no, it's not what you think. That's what we're trying to move. And that's why I did the Facebook group. And that's why I steal ideas off people like Collin and others to make my models better.
Yeah.
But that goes to the point you made earlier, Chris, about and others about the ship models. I prefer. I love the plan form of a ship. I love seeing the hull. I like ships in that regard. But darn it, if I see a cruiser or something, in the water, a very well done seascape with motion, that draws my eye right away.
Yeah, exactly.
An armor build snapped instant in time. I guess that would be more of a diorama, but with something going on is to me more appealing to look at than just
Tank
the
on a plane.
Sherman, the Tiger. The M.
Yeah, the tank on the plank.
I won't say M113 because you guys all love the M113. But
I mean,
just by itself.
Well, one thing I do want to touch on is
why
that
don't they do that with cars?
Yeah.
I was going to ask why don't they do that with cars? Why don't you have cars on a speedway or cars going fast? Zoom, zoom, zoom.
Well, like rally cars. The rally car dioramas are fantastic.
Well, I mean, so if you want me to answer that question, it's because changing the suspension geometry on a car model is very difficult. It's hard enough just to get it to sit at a certain ride height that's actually more realistic than what the kit has decided to present to you. But to have it actually like leaned over, going around a corner, that's a whole different kettle.
Speaking
of
of
fish.
cars,
that's what we have to do.
But speaking of
Yeah,
cars,
that's
speaking of cars on tracks, what I'd really love to see someone do now that we can do it with DDA bringing out their Aussie muscle cars, is doing a Bathurst car just going over the mountain
Oh, yeah, that looked pretty cool.
with the one wheel off the ground.
Yeah.
Is it hard to find drivers?
You first, Ian. I'm not attempting that. that's too much for me. Sorry, what I was trying to say is, if we want to sort of present modeling in general to the public in a more palatable way, I think introducing diorama style settings like aircraft in flight or cars going around corners and blah 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 is the way to go about it. Because
it's going to draw people in.
That's how you draw people in. Yeah.
Yep.
Having just sort of here's an example of a plane if it was miniaturized on a table. It's not the same thing.
Yep.
That's why figures with small bases tend to draw in people more these days.
Yep.
Yeah,
No, I fully agree.
But there's room in the hobby for all different types.
That's
so.
it.
There's
That's
room in the hobby for all different likes
Yes.
and
tastes.
that's once you're
tastes,
in the
yeah.
hobby. If you want to draw in people from outside the hobby, I
Yeah.
think
Good
you
point.
gotta bring like the
more dynamic look.
Yeah, you got to bring in the sort of the
Excitement.
setting. You got to make it closer to
Yeah.
something that people can picture in their mind.
Yeah, and relate to.
Well, it's like when they're selling cars on TV. There's always the ubiquitous shot of the car driving down a tree-lined road and all the leaves come up behind it as it's going off into the distance.
Yeah, it's true. Like, yeah, it's harder to sell a car if it's just on a photography set. You
That's
know,
why
with
they
a white
put. That's why
background.
they put the politically incorrect skimpy girls over them. Yeah.
I think we're
Unless
giving them
unless
some
you-
ideas, Grease.
Unless you're Jaguar and use Teletubbies.
You can do an in-flight car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, true. Yeah, those good old Duke boys.
That's right.
Gentlemen, it's absolutely been wonderful having you on the show. Before we wrap up, I just want to leave us with what you guys have currently got on your bench. So I might start with you first, Collin.
I have nothing on my bench right now.
Ooh.
believe it or not. I finished my Skyhawk 2 days ago, and I'm in the doldrums. I'm in the trough of the wave. I'm in no man's land right now. I've got
You're in the brainstorming phase.
I pulled out every detail sheet I had today and sat up here going through them, just trying to get that one thing that would click and go, okay, I want to do that. And nothing's clicked yet. I'm waiting for a Phantom group build to come back on Brit Modeler. I think starts in August or September, and I'm going to do a British Phantom for that. But what do I do now? I don't know. So I'm hopefully in the next couple of days something will catch me, and I was playing around with the Tempest this morning, and I put it all back in the box because I don't want to work on something I don't want to work on, so I'll save that for later. So
And-
I have nothing on my bench right now.
And if people want to have a look at your work, Collin, where can they go to find that?
Just search for my name on the old book of face there, or Chris's website. I don't have much of a presence out there. I'm a recent Facebook convert. I'm a dinosaur, so I'm slowly getting into Facebook. But I just post my stuff out there for folks to see, and I appreciate Chris putting up the Facebook site for the in-flight group, and that's where I'll hang my stuff.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Chris,
Yes.
what you got on the bench?
Well, because we've got the state comp coming up in about a month, I'm struggling to finish my big Academy helicopter, the CH-53E. And beside that, I do have the Tamiya 148 Spitfire Mark 1. As I said, I've actually painted that in black and white. That was from, Fanch Lubin, the Fancherello from the French modeler. He inspired me to do that.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Yeah, so that's got a black and white cloud background. And I have a little Cybertruck. Julian would be interested in this. I converted a little. It's in flight. It's a little Mazda 3-wheeler thingy the Japanese used in the 70s.
Okay.
Those little kits.
Oh, yeah. I think so. Yeah.
And I've converted it to an anti-gravity sort of. It's got some parts from a kit I colonized, a Slave One, a Bandai Slave One that I threw against the wall or accidentally dropped it because of my cat. And it's got all the engines from that underneath, and I've got a 3D printed robot delivering. It's a delivery vehicle, so it's a little vignette I've made just in between recovering from some surgery earlier this year. I just started doing that, and
Very cool.
so hopefully I can finish that one and the helicopter before, and I'll see you guys at QMA2. I'm hoping
You will,
so.
Yes, you certainly will.
Yeah, we'll be there.
But apart from that, I have a ever-growing stash that I'm slowly doing experiments with and trying to work out how to 3D printer works and how to use Fusion 360. It's a very slow process.
Yep.
I'm not
Yeah,
very
it's
smart,
true.
so-
Gentlemen, I think this has been a fantastic conversation. I think it's been one that is good to sort of shine the light on. Let's hope that we inspire other modelers to perhaps take up the banner and
I
start
think
building in
once a
flight.
lot of people now realise about the Facebook page, you're probably going to get a lot more converts because the stuff in there is just amazing.
Yeah, and again, just to for everybody, the Facebook page is called Scale Model Aircraft in Flight. it's a private group, so I assume you apply to get in there, and then
the only filter I use, I just make sure you're a modeler. So just see if you're in a modelling group, and that's that you're in.
Yeah, that's how we.
And in fact, I'm recognising quite a few interesting names there. Kevin Footer, Mike Dash, and of course Clayton Ockerby, and we've got
Stuart
Black Hat Scale Model Stuart from there. I've got a good mate Matthew Grice as well. So there's lots of really sort of
Peter
well
Trevitt
known
as well. There's quite a lot of Aussies in there, but I've tried to get as many international people as well.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
We're spreading the word.
Yeah,
Very good. Colin, I hope to catch up with you perhaps next year. I'm over in the US again in August, so maybe you and I can sort of catch up for a beer then.
Yeah, that sounds great. There's plenty of places around here. So again, before you guys close out, super appreciate you having me, and appreciate you bringing up this subject and listening to my bantering about in-flight models.
It's funny because I was the reason I reached out to you, Collins, because I was talking to El Presidente and I was discussing this subject with him, and he said, "Oh, you need to get Carlos Danger on." I go, "Who the hell's Carlos Danger?"
That's the other name I go by, and that's we're not.
Well, here's the thing: I did a search for Carlos Danger on.
It's not that Carlos Danger. It's another Carlos Danger. When you're here next year, and Thrildo, you and I get together for a beer, we'll talk about what the real meaning is behind that, because it's actually, and it's model related, so it's pretty good.
Cool.
Gentlemen, thanks very much for your time. It's been fantastic having you on the show.
Yep.
And as I said, we'll catch up with you, Chris, in a month, and hopefully I'll see you in a year's time, Colin.
Sounds like a plan.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
All right, see you
Catch you
guys.
later, guys.
See ya.
Well, that was a great discussion with
Colin and
Chris and Colin.
Yep.
And we can
Very inspirational.
We can see what sort of mail we get. And don't forget, if you've got an opinion on the subject, you can send us an email to onthebench64@gmail.com. I thought it was a great discussion and conversation. This hobby is big enough for all walks of life, all genres to...
express yourself.
Yeah, and even though we're having a joke with sometimes that's not necessarily how we really feel. We love everybody who does models.
Exactly.
And right, gents, I think that takes us to the end of the show.
Yeah.
From you, Ian.
Well, adios, everybody. Enjoy your modelling, and see you in a couple of weeks' time.
No worries, Julian.
Yeah, see ya.
There we go. All right, gents, we'll be back in a fortnight. Catch you later.